Buying a home is one of the most terrifying things you'll ever do in your life. I mean, of course it is. Up until that point, you were maybe only a couple of $1,000s in debt, hopefully, and now you're thinking about making a decision that would put you hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. Now, if you're watching this, then part of you, even if it's a small part, has decided that it might be time to purchase your first home. Rents are through the roof, or maybe you just decided that your parents' basement just isn't cutting it anymore. Just kidding. That basement was great. In today's video, I'm going to talk about the top 5 most crucial mistakes that you can make as a first-time home buyer, or really any home buyer, and how to avoid them. Stick around till the end and I'll share a bonus 6th mistake that I see many first-time home buyers make and how avoiding it can save you thousands. Now, this isn't going to be your typical Mickey Mouse BS that you see on every other channel, like
get your mortgage pre-approval done, make sure you do a home inspection, don't try to do this without a realtor.
Jot that down. You can go watch other realtors for that kind of stuff. I'm here to give you real-life mistakes that I've seen with my clients that go beyond the more obvious ones that you've probably already heard about. What's up everyone? My name is Fady Nakhla and I'm a local real estate agent here in Toronto, and for the last 6 years I've been helping people just like you buy, sell, and invest in Toronto. So if you're ready to buy your first home here in Toronto or the surrounding areas of the GTA, you can reach out to me using the contact information in the description below, and I'd be more than happy to help. Now let's get right into it. The first mistake that you can make as a home buyer is using your mortgage approval as your only means of figuring out how much you can afford for a home. If you go talk to a mortgage agent or lender, they're gonna say, yeah, you qualify for up to X amount. And they come up with this number by using your gross monthly income. Gross is in before taxes, before insurance, before anything. And how they determine how much you qualify for is they look at 2 ratios as guidelines for that approval amount. First one they look at is the gross debt service ratio, which is your mortgage payment plus property taxes plus heating costs and 50% of condo fees if you're in a condo, all that added up and divided by your annual income. The maximum they're looking at for this ratio is usually 39%. They also look at total debt service ratio, which is your housing costs plus things like credit card interest, car payments, or other monthly loan expenses. And then they add all this up and again divide it by your annual income. The maximum the bank set for this ratio is around 44%. So let's do an example with the total debt service ratio at a max of 44%. Say you and your partner make a gross monthly income of $10,000. That's $120,000 annually between the two of you. So say you each make $60K. Let's say you have a car lease that's $500 a month, and you also have $300 in minimum monthly payments on your credit card on average. So that's $10,000 multiplied by 44%, or 0.44, so that's $4,400. You then subtract the $500 for the lease, $300 in credit card payments. So you and your partner qualify for a mortgage with a maximum payment of $3,600 a month. And you're thinking, okay, that's not bad, right? $3,600 a month, here we go. Pop the champagne. Well, it's very misleading. You're not actually bringing home $10,000. You're bringing home maybe $6,500 after taxes, CPP, and EI contributions if your income is on payroll or salary, which means that a $3,600 monthly payment would not be 44% of your income, but 55% of your income. And this is what we call house broke. And it's becoming extremely common now, especially with interest rates being as high as they are. You don't want to be in a position where more than half your income that you depend on to survive is going into your house payment. So what do? Once you've received that approval amount, sit down, go through the numbers, and figure out where your net income is. Figure out what your monthly expenses are, and really figure out how much you can allocate towards a monthly payment for a house. So the next logical question is, what percentage of your net or gross income should go towards your mortgage? I would use your net income, so that's your income minus your expenses, and stay somewhere in the 30-35% range to be comfortable. Now, obviously it's different for everyone. Only you know your own spending habits, you know your lifestyle, you know your savings. All these things matter. So that percentage really depends on you. One person may be able to handle a higher one and someone else may not. A lot of people will just talk to the realtor or lender and they'll give them an approval and they'll use that maximum loan amount, and the next thing you know, you're living above your means, and those people don't really care if you're able to make your monthly payments or not, because it's not really their responsibility at this point. And that takes me to the second biggest mistake that home buyers make, which is not having their timelines established. Now, what does that mean? People think, okay, I think it's time to buy a house. I'm gonna call my cousin Sam, the realtor, and see if we can maybe go look at a few properties tomorrow. Saw a few online the other day. Maybe we'll make an offer and have the house ready for my birthday in a month or two. Now, while that may be the case for a small percentage of people, it's not usually the case. You need to get an idea of what the timeline looks like, and I'm gonna go through it here really quickly right now. So as soon as you decide you'd like to start looking for a home, you go to the bank or broker for a pre-approval to find out how much you can afford. That process can take 1 to 2 weeks depending on your situation. These lenders will ask for a bunch of documents like employment letters, pay stubs, T4s, NOAs, so sometimes it can take a little longer if you don't have all those documents in order. Especially if you're a business and not salaried, it can get a little bit more complicated. They may ask for a little bit more paperwork, and sometimes it takes a little bit more time. After you're pre-approved, you can actually start looking at homes. For most people, it can take up to 2 months to find a home. It really depends on inventory and the type of market we're in, and really how selective you are in the process, especially if you're looking for something really specific, like a home with a pool or a bedroom on the main floor, for example. I've had clients that find a home very quickly in just 1 month, and others where it draws out to 3 or 4 months. Once you make an offer on a home and it's accepted, it can take another month to 3 months to close on your property. This is generally the normal timeline of how it looks like. However, sometimes there are a few hiccups that may slow things down. For example, in the beginning when you're doing your pre-approval, you might find out that your credit's a little bit low, so that may take another 3, 6, or even 12 months to get your credit back up. Like say you're renting and you have to be out of your apartment by 2 weeks from now. Well, guess what? That's going to be very difficult and likely not going to happen. Knowing your timeline can help you make better decisions. For example, if you've mapped out this timeline ahead of time and know you may have some extra time to look for homes, then you don't necessarily need to settle, and maybe you can afford to take a little bit more time to find that perfect home. Or vice versa, maybe you're a little bit picky, and according to your timeline, you need to find a house like this week because you know it takes some time to close. So you're able to use the timeline to help you make a more educated decision about your move. The third biggest mistake homebuyers make is they buy with equity in mind. What this means is people buy with the notion that their home may be worth a substantial amount more in 1 or 2 or 3 years, and then they use this prediction to drive future financial decisions. This is going to be more crucial than ever this year and probably the next few years to come, especially with interest rates the way they are, being at all-time highs in the last 20-25 years. There's a lot of people that made a lot of money these last few years in the housing market when the market shot up 60 to 70% in some areas back in 2022. Things are a little different now. No one knows for sure what's going to happen. Obviously, there's projections and opinions, but no one really knows. You should not buy a home with the idea that you're going to sell it in 2 or 3 years from now to make a huge amount of equity. This house you're buying now, I think, should be a long-term investment. Now, that's not to say it will not appreciate. Toronto's a very strong and healthy market. You know the demand is definitely there, but just be cautious because, again, no one really knows what's going to happen in the future. So I would just try to be a little bit more conservative with any home value predictions right now. The fourth home buying mistake that a lot of home buyers make is thinking they're Bob the Builder while they're touring home. What do I mean by that? I mean, you're looking at a house and suddenly you think you're on an episode of House Hunters on HGTV, like you're walking through it and you're like, oh my gosh, this house is so great, you know, it's got great bones, we can remodel the kitchen, we can remodel this, we can tear this down, we can tear this wall down, we can change this here, we can do that. You're knocking on different walls, like, is this a load-bearing wall? And you know, your Uncle Larry, the realtor, might be feeding into it, like he's ready to make that one sale for the year. He's like, oh yeah, that's simple, I can send you some contacts for that. Oh yeah, we can easily put in a built-in oven over here, or we can build an accent wall over there. Building code, don't even worry about it. Just calm down. Take a step back and make your decision based off the current situation, not this future ideal that's going to be suddenly a full remodel. All your plans and ideas you have usually don't happen. Now, I'm not saying you will never do them. I'm simply saying most people greatly underestimate the effort needed to take on projects. So don't overload your future self with major projects. Usually you start moving in, it's a huge, not only financial whirlwind, but you're moving in and all the craziness that comes with it. You know, half your stuff is in boxes or in the basement or at your mom's house. When you're looking at homes, you should be buying with the expectation that you're moving in as is condition. If you do want to reno, which is fine, I would recommend planning any project reasonably and before you move in. The odds of it getting done once you're actually moved in fall way down when you're actually in the house. And the last home buying mistake that a lot of people make is underestimating the importance of researching the neighborhood they're considering. Everyone knows research the neighborhood.
Oh yeah, great advice, Mr. Realtor YouTube guy. Research your neighborhood.
What does that mean? Google your neighborhood and see if any news article comes up, like in the movies, and like suddenly you find out there's an alien killer on the loose in your area and you have to form some sort of neighborhood watch. No, you know when you have an ex and you haven't heard from them in a bit and you're like, I wonder what they're up to. And suddenly you become like the world's greatest detective, going through all their friends' socials and finding their fake accounts. I want you to do this for this house. Get obsessive with the research of the neighborhood. Let's pretend like we're Joe Goldberg from You. You know, put your Joe hats on. What does that look like? That means you might go knock on the neighbor's door and just say, hey, what's going on? I'm thinking about buying this house next door. Can you give me the scoop on the area or the community? Explore the neighborhood at different times of the day and week. Go in the morning, go in the afternoon, go in the evening, go on the weekend. Get a real feel for the situation or vibe of the neighborhood, as if you already live there. I would also find the comparables, what has sold in the neighborhood in that block that's similar to this house. If it's a condo, find out which units sold in the building recently. When did they sell? Did they come with parking? It's 2023, right? Information is available to everyone at this point. You don't need to rely on your Uncle Larry, the realtor, to give you all the details. You need to know the market in that neighborhood and just be at least aware of it. If you're aware of what's going on, it'll help you make smarter decisions down the line. And that's it. Those are the top 5 mistakes I see homebuyers make when purchasing their first home. As promised, if you stayed with me till the end, I'll share with you the last mistake that many homebuyers make, which is only shopping around with one lender. So you go to your bank, probably the one you have most, if not all your accounts with, like your debit, credit cards. You ask to talk to a mortgage specialist or representative. They meet with you, give you all your options and all the different programs that they offer. And you're like, oh wow, I'm really glad I did this. I now have all the different options right here in front of me. Wrong. So there are mortgage lenders and there are mortgage brokers. Long story short, lenders would be like your banks or financial institutions like TD, CIBC, BMO, and they all have their own program, while brokers, they shop around the different lenders until they can find the best option that works for you. So I would definitely shop around at the very least one mortgage lender and one mortgage broker. And I would let them know of each other so that you can competitively find the best rate and the best terms that work out for you. It's a very small step, and considering you'll have all the paperwork already for your initial approval, it doesn't hurt to get that second opinion because it could end up saving you thousands of dollars in the long run. And that's it. If you need help navigating the market here in Toronto, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. My contact information all in the description below, and I'd be more than happy to help. Until then, feel free to check out one of my other videos that I posted on buying a home here in Toronto, especially if you're a first-time home buyer and need help navigating the system, then I've got you covered. You can check it out right here. Until then, bye for now.